is, all right. Can we, everybody good on the switch? Hear me still? See my screen? See recording is going.
Yes, we can.
One more minute to make a job. Yeah, and sorry about that. They haven't upgraded our Zooms to the, still on a 40-minute limit. Okay, so the group project. So I will say your first group project is due by the end of this week, Sunday. It's simple. You just go into Blackboard, tell me who your group members are, and list out what your three topics that you would like in order. And so you will submit that to me by Sunday night. Next week, I'll tell you which of your topics has been approved, and we'll go from there. So please do not forget to do this step. I need to know which team you're on. I need to make sure that you've started. Teams can be in 3 or 4. Needs to have at least 3, no more than 4. And what your team will be assigned to do is this, you're going to assigned by the FASB and with special session with the ISB to go over your topic and review the differences between the two at this point and come up with a recommendation on a convergence. So what that means is, as we know, FASB tends to be more rule specific. ISB tends to be more general, principles based. If we were to merge these and come up with one rule, what would be the rule, why, and what would be the impact? And so, like I said, by the end of this week, you should know who your team members are. You should know, give me the topics. Each of your team members need to submit that into Blackboard so I can see that y'all all agree on, yes, this is the team I'm on. And I can see your which topics you'd like. From there, I'll assign the teams in Blackboard, and you'll only submit one going forward. But I do need every single person to submit that. And so any thoughts and questions on that at this point? And so before the rough draft, I do recommend you reach out with your group, set up a Zoom call with me, let me go through what you found, what your thoughts are on the proposal, and kind of spitball what the impacts would be. So that way you're ready for your submission. What you'll actually submit, you'll submit a Word document summarizing what you found, what your recommendation is, and why. You'll submit a PowerPoint that summarizes that in an effective manner to allow you to present it. And you're going to have a Zoom call where you record you presenting that information. So I started this because of the way COVID has. So me personally, I work from home now 100% of the time. The second my bosses saw what a drop in overhead we had due to COVID, everybody made it a permanent switch. So as you enter the workplace now, you're going to, even if you are in person yourself, you're going to have to be interacting at some point with somebody working from home, working in a different environment. A lot of my conference calls are with people in India, Kuala Lumpur, China. We're setting up another one in Bogota. They're on different time zones, not always on phone. So you need to be able to present yourself through video conferencing. That's just going to be a part of life, so might as well learn now. With that in mind, anything that you submit to me this semester, because of the fact that I'm in industry, I expect you to submit it to me as if you submitted it to your boss who was deciding whether or not to pay you for that week. Everything needs to be at that level of professionalism. So not only free from spelling and grammatical, but just at the level of, can you professionally present your information to the point of me being able to understand what you're trying to say and up to a certain point agree with what you're trying to say. And so that is the level of expectation, and everything you submit to me should be with that in mind. And you'll see in the rubrics for anything you submit, there's going to be a portion of the grade assigned to whether or not you've submitted it in a professional manner. And so at this point, so the group at the rough draft level, you'll submit everything as if it was the final. I will give you feedback as if I was your boss. And then your final grade will be based off of how you incorporated that feedback from the point of the rough draft to the final. Okay, so you'll submit the rough draft, you'll get feedback, you'll do the presentation again, you'll submit a final. And that's kind of the goal here. At the end of the day, you'll get the 50 points I mentioned for just submitting your name. You'll get the 100 points for the rough draft and the final, and then there's going to be a peer review. The peer review, the way that I do the peer review, 10 points is going to be based off of a discussion board. You will post each of your Zoom calls for everybody else to see, and you'll provide feedback. So that's an easy 10 points. The remaining 40 points is going to be based off of your team members' review of your participation. I will tell you right now, you are not allowed to give everybody 100%. You will only get 8 points per person. And because in general, everybody does average work, or you have someone that steps up and does everything. So keep that in mind. We do expect participation from everybody. You will be getting a grade on that participation based off of how your members perceive you. This is really the last time that I will be mentioning the group project during the lecture, because what we're testing on is whether or not you can independently take on a task, get the right people involved to address the task, and present yourself with the results as needed. So I will meet for one Zoom call to kind of go over where you're at and where I think you should be before you submit it. But this is the group project. From here, you're on your own. So does anybody have any questions or comments or any concerns about the group project at this point?
I may have joined late and not heard what you said, but where do we post the names?
So actually that's a good segue. So in Blackboard, I'll just do a rundown of Blackboard right now. So for those that haven't used Blackboard before, this course will be all based off of Blackboard. Once you sign in, you go to courses, you go to intermediate. When you're in here, all the announcements I will send out as an email, but in case you need to revert back to something, here you go. This will be the same Zoom meeting that we use if needed throughout the semester. If you set up an introduction call, this is where you should go. When you're in here, you go to course content, and this will be separated out by week. I only submit things right up until the point of the week, and that's just how it is. When you go into the week one, it'll be separated out. There's reading and studying, which is just documents that I'm sharing for your benefit. The learning and activities will be only items that will be recorded for a grade. So if you go into reading and study here, you'll see the syllabus. You'll go over the slides that I've been sharing. If you go into learning activities and assessments, you'll get a link to the discussion board for that week. You'll see what the requirements are and the prompts. And then you'll also see for week one, this is where you'll submit your team project submission. All right, so yeah, again, before Tuesday, you should read your chapter, understand what it is we're discussing for that week. My goal, and I plan to do better this semester, is by Monday at midnight, having any of the other assignments or attachments necessary in here. Okay. Again, this class is going to be designed based off of, it should be more of a discussion. If you have questions, now's the time.
So for the group project, we decide on our team?
Yes. Yes, and actually what I'll do now, so I'll go to the discussion board. I'm going to create a forum and so yeah, that is your responsibility to come up with your group members. Like I said, you need at least 3, no more than 4. If you can use this discussion board, create a thread if you have to or you need to, or I'll let you go from there. But by Sunday, each of you should submit to me who your team is and 3 topics that you would be interested in using. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Is there any chance you could give us like an example of what would be an appropriate topic for the group project?
Yeah, so any financial statement line item. So cash, accounts receivable, inventory, you want to do it at the financial statement line item. And so let's take cash, for example. You'll research, what the exact FASB guidelines are for cash and cash equivalents, and then you'll compare it up with the ISB exact guidelines. You'll come up with some variance or some idea where there's a difference there, and your job is to make a recommendation on if we were to have a global policy, what would it be and why? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts on the group project? Everyone give me a little nod that you're still with me. Still awake there, Zach? All right, thank you all. Okay, so again, I won't purposefully mention the group project from here on out. That doesn't mean that you're not welcome to ask me questions about it or set up the group call, set up a Zoom call, and we'll go through that. So I see we're now at no, we're supposed to go to 1:45, sorry. Just kidding. I'm used to the Monday, Wednesday where these are shorter classes, so just bear with me. So we're gonna go into the extra credit assignment now. So the extra credit assignment, this is your only chance of extra credit. This is my end of the bargain of I'm not gonna accept any late work, but I'm gonna give you a whole 5% extra on your final grade. That will alleviate any of my guilt or if this person did this, that, or the other. What your extra credit assignment is you have to submit to me a fully functional, personalized budget. So the assignment is to put yourself in the view of a business. And just like a business goes through a review of their financial statements, I want you to prepare financial statements for your own personal activity. And so I will share a PDF of an example file. I did not save that example file, so you're about to see my live version. So what this is this is my personal balance sheet and income statement. I keep this Excel file open way more than I should, but this is the way that I've handled my personal finances. And I'm recommending that if you haven't done so for yourself, then take this opportunity to really assess where you're at, where you want to be, how are you going to get there. It's not meant to be a guilt trip of I couldn't do this, or I didn't get there, or I keep spending more. But the more you track it, the more you make it a part of your day to day, you'll just generally be more cognizant, and therefore be more prepared. Life happens, and so this gets updated every month. But with a plan in place, it does make it a lot simpler to decide this, that, or the other. So with that in mind, what the actual requirements are, again, 5% added to your final grade, 1% for each of these requirements. You'll need to have a balance sheet. Remember, a balance sheet is a listing of what your current assets, liabilities, and equity is. So think about it from a business perspective. What are your assets? What are your liabilities? Make sure that there's a distinction. Assets are different than income. Liabilities are there regardless. So I want to see that you're using the language that we've learned and applying it to your personal life. So a balance sheet is there. The goal of this is for you to figure out, where do you want to be when you retire? So I will require a retirement goal. What age do you want to be at? What do you want to have at that point? One of the concepts we'll learn this semester is time value of money. So if I'm to have this amount at this stage in my life, that means that if I'm getting this much interest, this is what I need to put into it each step of the way. Now, I realize that you are in college, and therefore at this stage, you're probably running at a negative. That's not, that doesn't mean that you can't take this approach. What that means is you need to understand, how much do you plan on being in debt by the end of your time here, and when are you going to get yourself back into a positive? So for those, I could see more manual calculations at the front end until you get to a point of steady savings, and maybe increase it and go from there. But the point is, I do want to see what your end goal is, and how do you walk that back to what today's requirement is. You then take that requirement, you take your current assets, and you build out a year-long budget. So you might not have any income, and you might just have expenses, but again, you still need to track how far are you willing to invest in yourself this period, and how are you doing on tracking that. You've learned the difference between the accrual method and the cash flow method. All of these financial statements should be based off the accrual method. There's a big difference when people talk about purchasing a house and renting. So you need to know how that impacts your accrual method. But at the same time, not everybody can go out and just get massive amounts of cash. So you're going to have decisions based off of your cash. So what this is a 12-month forecast of my bank statement. So these are my inflows and when and where I expect my outflows. So like I said, each of those is going to be 1 extra percent. And then again, 1% is given to just, have you done this at an effective level to where, if I was your boss for your corporation, would I accept what you submitted? All right, so does that kind of make sense? Any thoughts and comments and feedback of this assignment? All righty, well, so that is really all that we needed to go over this week. And like I said, I planned this week to be easy, because I know it's a lot harder to kind of go through this with every single class and really understand your expectations. Excuse me. So I hope these expectations are clear. I don't see any issues, and if you see them, please reach out and let me know. I'm here, but we do need to keep the lecture time effective and efficient. So we'll go from there. But if you don't ask the question, I won't know that there's confusion. All right, so with that in mind, feel free to, actually, I'm just going to post this video, and that will be it for this week. I'll sign into the Zoom on Thursday if anybody had any questions, or those that view this online if they had any questions. But the only grades this week are the discussion board. I need to see your name and a picture. Again, please, this just makes it a lot easier on me throughout the semester. And I need you to submit that group project. All right. Any last minutes? All right, we all are free to go. I'll stick around for a few minutes if y'all think of anything.
All the posts that are due, those are all due by Sunday.
The discussion board and the final will be due by Sunday, yes.
Okay.
Midnight on Sunday of that week.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Are we meeting on Thursday through Zoom?
Well, so
Or is it just like if we have questions, we log in?
yeah, so the way that I kind of approach each week is that I build a PowerPoint that goes over that chapter. I go through that material on Tuesday, and then Thursday, if we hadn't finished or wherever we're at, we'll finish going through that PowerPoint, and then we'll go into more of a practice and problems and discussing the practical. This week we're not going over a chapter. The whole goal is just for you to understand the expectations and make sure that you're comfortable with the way this semester is going. We got through all of that today, so I'm not going to have any new information for you on Thursday, but I will be there just in case you have another question and want to jump in.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry if you already went over this, but did you post somewhere what our groups are? Like who's in our group?
That is your responsibility to determine who your group members are. You, for those that need to, you can go to the discussion board. I created this need want group members. But again, this is, you need to have some level of independence and work through your own issues. So I expect you to reach out, talk to your other classmates, come up with your own team members.
Thank you. And you're posting this on Blackboard, right? In case like people miss like the first segment of it, like the
Yes.
recording of the Zoom.
Yes, this video will be added. I have to go to a YouTube channel, upload it to YouTube, and then I'll post an announcement with the link of it.
Okay, thank you.
Again, y'all are free to go. I'm hanging out if you have any questions.